In the previous video, we saw how food is broken down in the duodenum. From the duodenum, it is passed to the second part of the small intestine called the jejunum. And the third part of the small intestine is the ileum. We saw that a lot of digestion happens in the duodenum. But in the jejunum and the ileum, a lot of absorption takes place. Yes, very little digestion and a lot of absorption. In this region, the food is completely digested and ready to be absorbed by our body. But how is the food absorbed here? To understand how the food is absorbed, we need to look at the cross-section of the small intestine. Now, the small intestine wants to absorb as many nutrients as possible at a given time. It wants to increase the efficiency of absorption. And the rate of absorption depends mainly on the surface area on the inside of the small intestine. If the surface area is more, clearly more nutrients will be absorbed. Normally, looking at this tube, we would assume the smooth surface inside to be the surface area, correct? But that's not entirely right. Now, on the surface inside the tube, it has numerous finger-like projections called villi which increase the surface area. This is how the actual image would look. All these little villi increase the surface area significantly. But the question is how? How can we say that the surface area has increased? To understand that, think of the small intestine being opened up like this, to look like a rectangular surface. If there was no villi, the nutrients would have been absorbed through the surface and this would be the surface area. Now on its surface, let's draw tiny finger-like projections. Does the surface area increase? Clearly it does. The surface area it stands on is just the area of its circular base. But the surface area that is exposed is the curved surface area of each villus. So by utilizing the same area to stand on, the villi significantly increases the surface area for absorption of nutrients. Because of this, the nutrients are absorbed really fast and all that remains is undigested waste material and water. Remember, the villi do not play any role in digestion. They just help in faster absorption of nutrients. We need to understand the structure of this villus in detail. This is one villus. To further increase the surface area, each villus has tiny little projections on them. And these are called microvilli. Yes, microvilli. Yes, these smaller or microvilli further increase the surface area for absorption. But does it significantly increase the surface area? To put it in perspective, the surface area for absorption increases from about half a square meter to approximately 200 square meters. Yes, about the size of an entire tennis court. Now, each villus has something called a central lacteal. A central lacteal is nothing but a projection of the lymphatic system. The broken down fat particles are absorbed through the central lacteal and passed into the lymphatic system. What about the proteins and carbohydrates? How are they absorbed? So each central lacteal is surrounded by a network of capillaries. They bring blood towards the villus and also take blood away from it. Let me repeat it for you. Each villus has a central lacteal and that central lacteal is surrounded by a network of capillaries. And the broken down proteins and carbohydrates are absorbed directly into the bloodstream, directly into the capillaries. The fats are absorbed into the body through the central lacteal and the proteins and the carbs through the capillaries. That's an overview of how the small intestine works. A lot of digestion happens in the duodenum and a lot of absorption happens in the jejunum and the ileum. The small intestine is nothing but a tube and the food is absorbed through the villi which are present at its inner surface. The undigested food is sent to the large intestine, which we will talk about in the next lesson.